Welcome to Three Devs and a Maybe, the podcast series for beginner web developers and general web enthusiasts. Now, introducing your show hosts, Michael Budd, Fraser Hart, Lewis Caines, and Ed Mann.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Three Devs and a Maybe. And I'm your host, Michael Budd, and I'm joined by my co-host, Lewis. I forgot your name, Lewis Caines.
Brilliant. Good start, Mickey.
That's a bad start, isn't it? I'm sorry, man. And Ed Mann.
Hello.
That was a rough start, wasn't it? You guys did another good job last week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Getting very good at this, just the two of you.
Yeah, we don't need you. You know, you're just that stopgap between.
I'm feeling that way, to be honest with you. Yeah, surplus to requirement. But yeah, great job, guys. It was really good. So, how have you both been? Lou, let's start with you.
Yeah, cool.
I was thinking, who's going first?
I've been very well, thanks. Yeah, having a good week. Very, very busy. Got a big kind of e-commerce project on the go at the moment that I started back end of last week. So it's been good fun. Yeah, I've been building up a lot of components from scratch. It's the shopping cart and various bits and bobs. So yeah, it's the days are fun at the moment actually. So I can't complain. Yeah.
And you've been using Stripe, I see.
I have indeed, and I absolutely love it. I saw you
it?
tweeted about it a while ago, didn't you? Or put something about how easy
I did.
it is.
And then you didn't look at my tutorial. Unbelievable. You just went to Jeffrey Way, didn't you?
I didn't. You've got a tutorial, haven't you? Oh,
yes, I did.
I thought it was just a tweet.
It's fine, Lee. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Well, I haven't fully implemented it yet. So as soon as I come across the inevitable bugs, there's only one place I'm going.
And one place to blame.
Probably Jeffrey Way again. Yeah, no, it's really easy to use, isn't it? It is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
but
it's fantastic.
I guess the only thing with it though is you have to take the payments on site, right? So you have to then worry about the security side of things.
No, you don't. Not at all. No, you send it off. No, you send it off. I think you can if you choose to, but otherwise you can send it off to their servers where they handle all of that and they send you back a token.
But what about the actual card details? Don't you have to enter them in on your site, or you can actually do that on their end as well?
Oh, you submit the form through your site, but the sensitive details on the form never actually hit your server.
Okay.
They you just send them off to the Stripe servers where it gets all handled, and literally if everything goes through, then you just get sent a token back.
But you're going to be good though, aren't you? In HTTPS, your page.
I was going to say
your credit card details on.
Like you could start a middleman attack, right?
Yeah, because they could inject some code onto that form and then do a keylogger type thing. So definitely want to HTTPS that.
Well, this is probably something that I need to speak about with you. I mean, the security element's very relevant this week because I've been attempting to hack my own stuff pretty much all afternoon and thinking, getting into the mindset of a hacker and what might they be able to try and do, and it's kind of a minefield. You start doing one thing and then you realise, oh Christ, if they do that, they could do that. Even down to subtle things like changing values in select fields and stuff. Like, so I want to buy this item that's worth £2,000, but I want -1 of them. So then suddenly you're owed £2,000 in your shopping basket and stuff like that. So allowing for all that kind of stuff and building up security around that's been fun. I've been doing that this afternoon because I'm making it myself. So
it's a huge responsibility, actually, isn't it? Like it's pretty scary when you're dealing with sites that do have a lot of money going through them.
It is definitely, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And this is going to be quite a big site as well. It's security product, so
security for security. There we go.
Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah, but it's a good challenge, and I certainly this would be a good one for the old portfolio, that's for sure. And I want at the end of it to obviously have something that I can show that I've made myself from scratch. So yeah.
Nice.
So all good. Yeah.
Other than that, bit of golf
at the weekend. I came sixth in a competition. So
well done. Nice.
Yeah,
how many people?
Probably about 60. Yeah,
5. Work out 5.
And one of the guys pulled out. So came sixth. I don't know, it was about 70 odd people. So it was nice to be getting back into the old golf vibe. if I can learn how to putt, which anyone who knows me that listens to this knows that it's my my weak spot, then I could be in for a good season if the early part's anything to go by, which would be nice.
Nice. Have you lost any skill with a bit of time out, or are you still as good as you ever were? Or
it comes and goes, really. I think it's still there. It's just a case of bringing it out. Yeah, the worst thing is obviously when you don't play a lot is like anything is you feel rusty. So by the time you get a certain amount into the round and you've got rid of the rust, suddenly if your scorecard's already ruined or whatever. But so far I haven't seemed to be too bad with the old cobwebs and rust. So fingers crossed. I've been training our good friend Ed in the at the driving range Thursday night.
What's he like now?
I have to say,
I'm a beast.
It was very funny the first few times we went. Ed did either do one of three things. He'd either miss it altogether.
Solid.
One of four things, actually. Miss it altogether, go straight underneath it and whack it up into the roof above and make everyone run for the hills. Or he seems to be able to hit this shot that just goes off 90 degrees to the right, and he's a left-hander. I'm not sure how he hits it at that angle. It's a unique skill.
It's unique. I like that unique skill. Yeah.
And then every now and then he hits a good one. But the last few weeks, particularly last week, I think you've come along big time.
I want to say it was actually skill, but I think it was a lot of luck. But you're definitely helping me a lot there. And it's a lot of fun.
Tuition, of course.
Your tuition definitely paid for in. I don't really know.
In web help.
Web money.
Yeah.
In Bitcoin.
Yeah. In Bitcoin. Yeah.
Bitcoin is still around though, isn't it?
Never really looked at it.
Talking of which, did anyone have any shares in Candy Crush?
No. What happened in Candy Crush?
Didn't it float today?
Did it really? Are you kidding?
I think it did.
That's crazy.
I think crazy amounts of money.
Has anyone? Have any of you played it?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Have you played it, Lou?
No. I can honestly say I never played that.
That's crazy. All three of us haven't played it.
Yeah,
but then I see people in the pub, like my local spoons, and I look back, and on their phone they're playing Candy Crush with a pint in their hand, and I'm like, something went wrong here.
Yeah, there's another social media phenomenon that's been that I've picked up on recently. I can't understand why people are doing this.
MySpace.
No. People who are downloading games onto their phone or whatever, struggling with it, and then posting it to Facebook asking for help.
What, to download?
Who's doing it? Leah, I'm stuck with this word puzzle.
Oh, yeah, the word games. Yeah, like the pictures. It's like, because everyone gives a damn about your picture.
Guess the emoji.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so annoying.
Why are you posting this online? And B, why are you posting this online? I can't remember what my second question is going to be.
It's so relevant. It's said twice.
It's such a funny thing to do. I swear that the powers of Facebook and social media are being used more and more incorrectly, I think.
Yeah.
And in weirder and weirder ways.
Well, didn't they buy another company? They bought a artificial AI company kind of thing, doing 3D gaming or some weird thing today.
Oh no!
Virtual reality company.
Yeah,
that's it. It's like
2 billion or 2 million. I don't know.
One of those. I mean, a billion and a million. They're all the same to us.
2 billion.
Wow.
Yep.
Crazy. They're just buying everything.
Candy Crush floated for £302 million or $6.25 billion.
Oh, wow.
No, hang on. That's not right, is it? Hang on. £3.8 billion, $6.25 billion.
That's crazy.
That can't be right. Surely that's just... Yeah, it is. Wow.
That's insane.
And
when do you think they're going to plummet just like ridiculously?
Well, it drops by 850 million within the first few minutes, basically.
Wow.
That figure again, Lou, it's $6.25 billion.
Do you know what I'm picturing? Because I'm picturing Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
With the old little finger to the lip, like he goes $3.5 billion. And
he's got his sharks, lasers.
I think we need to get a picture of you on the 3Dev Twitter feed site doing that, and then people will know why it's funny.
Me and Lou, we dressed up as sharks with lasers on.
Oh God, you have to have watched Austin Powers if you didn't, then that would be a bit random.
Good film.
But what do you guys think of Snapchat?
Oh no, that's another weird thing.
It is another really weird thing. I don't understand it at all.
It's really just for people who are a bit dirty-minded.
Is it for that? It's not for people genuinely like having conversations.
I think maybe it is. I mean, it is, but you hear all the stories of just like a boss sending a picture he probably shouldn't have to a work colleague, etc., etc. And then it's like because it's like, and then like they screenshot it. But now I think the app actually knows if you screenshotted it or not, and it can just say they can do some wisdom. I don't know sure how it can though, because all people used to do is they would, when they got the picture, if they're like, I like this picture, they would just do a screenshot, and obviously it's exactly the same as saving it. So.
Yeah, I think Facebook have got own part of that now as well, don't they?
They probably just buy it. They get bored. They're like, you know what? Anyone's actually kicking up a little bit of a fuss. Let's spy them now.
Yeah,
do the Microsoft thing on Google.
It must take more time than sending a text message, so it must take far more effort.
Well, it's like WhatsApp, isn't it? I mean, yeah. Oh dear. Well, we went off on a tangent there, didn't we?
Yeah.
Wild.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's all good.
Rock and roll.
Lou, not Lou. Sorry, Lou. Mickey, I saw you on Saturday, didn't I?
What? Yeah, you did.
Yeah, yes. What? It's like, what? Yeah.
What?
We had a little meet up in Faversham.
We did.
When Lou was off golfing and we were off just sitting in spoons in the morning having a breakfast.
Drinking like pros.
Well,
actually, we didn't.
We had literally
you
an orange juice and a black coffee. So yeah, definitely pros.
And
you asked for black pudding.
I did ask for black pudding.
And they said no, and they slapped
anyone who's not living in the UK and listening to this is thinking, what the hell is black pudding?
What is black pudding? Maybe.
But it will all sound normal as soon as we tell them what it is, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. And more advertising.
Basically, it's like offal cooked in blood. Is that a good description?
I know it's got blood. And the idea of black is because that's just...
Yeah.
It is a northern thing, isn't it?
Not really. I say it's more of an English thing.
Oh.
Lou, what about you?
I have no idea. I've never really wanted to try it because I hate the idea of eating congealed blood.
Just blood. If you have blood, the idea. Have you ever?
See, when you say it like that, it sounds weird. But,
so you say black pudding, and it's like, oh, that's appealing.
It's fine. Yeah, it's a pudding and it's black. What's not like that?
But we had a little bit of fun with Go, didn't we?
We did, and
Hack as well, yeah, which was quite interesting. Went through their little tutorials just to see what's going on, and I'm impressed by Hack. I love the name. So to the audience, if they don't know, if you've been living under a rock for a week, Facebook unleashed their PHP kind of superset, I would kind of call it, language, where it's got what it can do, everything PHP can do, but also it adds stuff like static typing. So you can say this returns an integer. These parameters, I require an integer parameter or Boolean parameter and stuff. It also added in stuff like nullable types, so similar to how Haskell has maybe and Scala has some. It allows you to have this, getting away from the problem of null pointer exceptions are. I'm sure Mickey, you've had this in Java, are horrible. Yeah. So it deals with that, and it was really interesting. It's called Hack, which is another funny thing, just because obviously it's built on a hack. But it's been interesting with the comments on Hack and Use and stuff, because certain people are like, well, why are you building on a rubbish language? Why not use a new language? And it's like, well, PHP, they've got all their code base. It's probably easier for them to write a new language on top of the language they've got now than rewrite all their source code that they have. And I think it was quite interesting that they were saying, PHP on its own was a great language to start off with, but over time and the development needs, I think they push I think it's 70 times a day. I could be wrong to live certain bits of it. So they need a language that, deals with these things with static typing and helps them out with these common problems. And, it's interesting. It is interesting, like a language.
Can I just say, you're a complex man.
Why is that?
You start banging on about, I love Python. And, I hate Java, I have to declare data types, blah, blah, blah. As soon as it comes to something with PHP and it's something a bit different, great, let's get data types in.
Only because, look, on Saturday, I made it an effort just to annoy you. Much like your cool, what is it, just shooting the breeze, which is the worst saying in the history of the world.
Please elaborate on this. What's been going, where has this originated, and why is it all I'm hearing now? What is
I just started introducing it into my lingo just casually, on a once a month type basis, and it turns out it really annoys Ed, so naturally...
And by that I was like, don't say that again.
I have to say it all the time, and then Ed was like, well, what's it mean? I'm like, well, I haven't got a clue. So we Wikipedia'd it, and no, we didn't. We went on the Urban Dictionary,
right? Which is even worse.
And it just said, description was basically outside lamping, shooting the breeze. So I really don't know what it means, to be honest with you. I think it's just talking rubbish, basically. But I'm just saying it a lot just to irritate Ed. basically.
So all our audience of one, if you say that to me, I'll give you a hug.
Yes, if you tweet Ed and say you'd like to shoot the breeze for him sometime, I will love you forever. That would be amazing.
No, please no.
There we go.
I have your Twitter feed in front of me, Mike.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
And we have this phrase being used quite a lot here. We shot on the 23rd of March, just shooting the breeze in Maidstone. How was AM2? And then on the 25th, I like shooting the breeze with the PayPal support guys. And then earlier on today, looking forward to shooting the breeze with you guys.
So he's just continually trying to bring this in. You know,
and I have an email from Saturday about future podcast material, and first line of that: "Hi all, me and Ed have just been shooting the breeze." So I figure I better ask about what this actually means if it's going to be used on a regular basis.
See, do you remember? I don't know if you witnessed this, Lou, but basically when we worked together, the place we used to work together, Edward used to have his paper in a really clean, straight pile, just to cater for his OCD-ness. And I would just go over and basically rotate the top piece of paper by 2 degrees and wait, see how long.
This would not annoy me at all.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be waiting thinking he's not going to look, he's going to look. And then wait, and
I am a bit of a petulant child. If I know someone can be wound up easy, just go for
Mike, it's so funny you say that, actually, because I remember one time I went round to Ed to ask him about some stuff, and I went to write some notes, and I took the top sheet of paper off of his pad, and the look he gave me was so bad that Ed, you'll remember this. I apologised to you later on, didn't I?
I remember. I don't think I remember, but yeah.
I'm really sorry about just taking that piece of paper without asking you, because you looked absolutely livid with me, and I thought, I've taken a liberty there.
Later in the show, we will have web-related content.
Yeah, I know. How was your week been, Mickey?
I'm trying to delay that by as long as possible.
Yeah. My week has been good. Saturday was really good meeting up with you. That was pretty cool.
What do you think of Go, by the way? We might as well add that in now.
Go, yeah, absolutely. I thought
is it
was
first of all?
Okay, yeah, good point. So it is Google's language that they brought out, and basically it's been around for a few years, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think, and they've been using it quite, a lot in their stack. So
yeah, I first heard about it because in my university module for concurrency they mentioned using Go because I won't go into detail, but basically it uses like channels and things to help with concurrent programming. And so me and Ed had a little play with it, and I think in being Google, it would be very, very kind of modern, very almost maybe different from anything else we've seen. But to me, it looked very, very dated, like straight away, and like the syntax wasn't very nice for me. And in some ways, it wasn't very different to a lot of things I've used. But I wasn't that impressed. But the channel stuff was cool. That's the only thing I would say. The channel stuff was very cool. But again, I've not replayed with Erlang. I've only replayed with Occam Pi with like the channel style processing and everything. So I guess we didn't play with it enough to really fully evaluate it. But I wasn't a fan, to be honest. What about you?
It's very C-like. Obviously a lot of languages are, but it kind of gets some bits. What annoyed me, and I probably shouldn't, and I'm sure you get used to it, is the whole. They did I think they did it similar to what Hack does and like Scala and Pascal do. Is that the data type comes after the variable name? Yeah,
that was weird.
But that's okay. I don't mind that if you put a colon after the variable name, but instead they just use a space.
Yeah,
I want that signifier. The colon to me, because we're very used to reading key value pairs with colons, like in JSON and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's easy to read like that. But it was like they just used a space delimiter, and that was weird. And I'm sure I'll get used to it, but it was just one of those things that's weird.
Yeah, very weird. I guess if anyone's listening and they want to look at it, I would say, I don't know what you think, but I would probably skip most of the tutorials till they get to the chapters bit and just have a little play with that, just, a little like half an hour play.
Yeah, because they don't have classes, do they?
No.
It's very JavaScript like with prototype. Well, it's not even prototypical really, but the idea is that you just add to an object and stuff. So it's quite an interesting language. Like, and I'm sure because it's got Google's backing, it will be around for a while. And
I'm not convinced. I don't know. Yeah. I can't see it go anywhere, but maybe I don't know.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. But yeah, my week, to be honest with you, it's just same old. Just cramming out. I've got an assignment in for next week, so that's pretty crazy. But that's for artificial intelligence. So that's all like learning about genetic algorithms, and I have a link which I showed Ed briefly before the show.
Very cool.
Lou, you have to have a look at this as well, and I'm obviously worried that people can't actually see this, but we will put this in the show notes. But I'll send this to Lou now so you can see. But for anyone who's listening, basically this a guy who's written a genetic algorithm, and it takes a picture of the Mona Lisa, and basically uses this genetic algorithm to try and make a picture that's as closest match as it possibly can. So if you check out the link and you basically want to hit the button that says evolve, and you'll see this picture slowly come together. Obviously, don't expect to see a pixel perfect picture. That won't happen, but you'll see the program trying to get it as close as possible. And the cool thing about this is, as well, it's just using JavaScript and Canvas.
That's so cool, isn't it? The web stack technologies to...
Well, that's the thing. And this just shows, doesn't it? Like, because JavaScript is really respected in the academic world now, isn't it? You know, it's not a language to be sniffed at.
In the business world, it's not a toy language anymore. It's certainly, and I think it's one of those languages where obviously there are some bad parts to it, and then there's quite good parts. But the whole thing is that it's in so many browsers, it's on so many platforms now. You're going to have to use it. You're going to want to use it.
Yeah,
this is insane.
It is, isn't it? Mate, when I saw it, I had the exact same reaction you just had, Lou. It's just I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Really,
just watching it being put together is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've looked at HTML5 Canvas a few times, but not for a little while. It makes me want to go back to it again because there must be so many cool things that you can do on it like this.
Well, I won't go into detail because this is a series really for beginners. But yeah, this is just basically it starts off with one thing. It just makes loads of mutations, and it checks to see out of those mutations which is the best, and then it takes that and makes more mutations from that one, and just keeps going and going and going and going. Until it'll go forever, I think. But unless you told it to cut out, but it'll just keep going and trying to get a better fit all the time. So if anyone who's just they don't want to know all the detail, but just want to from a very kind of high level have a look at it, just go to that link and play with that. It's pretty cool. So I've got my assignment in for that for next week, which is using genetic algorithms. So pretty stressed out to be honest with busy work and busy uni stuff, but I really can't complain. What about you, Edman?
Good week? Man, yeah. I've got a couple of links that I'll throw your way. The PHP UK conference that we missed annoyingly this year, but hopefully next year we will go. We will plan to go. Okay. It happened in London in early February, and obviously I'm really bad with dates. Mickey doesn't believe in a calendar, so yeah. But they uploaded all their videos onto YouTube. Right. I'll put that in the show notes. I haven't actually watched any of these ones yet, but last year's videos, so the only thing to go by, were really good. And they talk more than just about PHP. They talk about AngularJS, the web stack stuff. So it's an interesting thing just to have a look. And yeah, it'd be quite cool to go to a conference like this because I'm trying to arrange it because I don't know about you. It's like going on my own would be quite intimidating, I feel.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Going with a couple of people, at least then you're like, well, even if it turns out to be a bit, rubbish, you could be like, well, we can just have a couple of drinks and a laugh ourselves. So,
well, let's try and plan it for next year then.
Yes, definitely. And if anyone in the 3 Devs and Maybe universe wants to come as well, go for it.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But definitely like us four. I should say Fraser's not here. Completely.
Where is Fraser? What has happened with Fraser again?
I think he's got an exam, hasn't he, for his flower arranging?
Flower arranging, indeed. Yeah,
pretty sure.
Floristry exam.
Yeah, I hope that goes well, Fraser. But yeah, I believe he'll be back next week.
Yeah,
and that's what he said.
He sent a tweet, like an Instagram picture.
Did he?
Yeah, where he was like sleeping on a boat. So I don't know whether he'd done a trial run or a trial test, on the boat. So.
I feel like we should listen to him more when he's telling us about this.
He's like James Bond, isn't it, pretty much? It's just setting around, doing his thing.
Yeah, but he's sorely missed anyway.
Yes,
but yeah,
absolutely. I've got, we've got Hacklang is another one, which is good, that language we're talking about. And then also a framework called Shield Framework. So with the discussion, because we're going to we went through the first top 5 security web application problems that arise in the wild. We're going to go through the next 5. And I was looking this week for like examples in the PHP world to kind of get an idea of like, okay, it's cool, we've got this, but how do I implement it in an application I have? And this guy on GitHub, and I'll put it in the show notes, has released a framework. It hasn't been updated in a couple of years, but I'm looking at source and stuff, it's still relevant. And he went through the top 10, made a web framework that's based on that. So it'd be quite interesting. I thought, Lou, definitely for you, maybe to have a little look to reference to see, what you could add or, what you want to make different in your own framework.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Nice.
That's it for me. How about you do it? You two got any picks of the week?
I was just going to ask you, who were the big speakers at the PHP conference? Any big names?
I have no idea. Last time it was Rasmus, last year, but I don't think it was this year.
It would be odd if he did make an appearance, I guess. Being the the father of PHP,
which is weird. Actually, that's another thing. Actually, before I go, I was listening to PHP Town Hall.
Yeah,
I've listened to a couple of their recent episodes. The one with Jeffrey Way, which is very good, and that one brought up this whole what is it, BDFL, which is the belligerent dictator for life thing about Laravel, and it brought up this whole Ted Rotwell thing. I'm not going to mention that, but it was interesting to talk about, like, because PHP isn't like Python, who's got Guido, who literally controls what happens in that language. He just says, like, this is what's happening and that's it. He puts his foot down. Like Linux, actually, with Linux Toolbar, it has to all go through him. In PHP, he's kind of given up access to, that people vote on the system.
Yeah.
To be a democracy. Crazy guy. So, more of democracy. So a lot of the things that, and I was looking at his acceptance for, like, because they do release for comments, RFCs. And looking at what actually he accepts, like, votes for yes, they're quite few and far between. So what he would want the language to be is completely different to what it actually is now, I think. Or maybe not in ways. Yeah, well, interesting that, some of the things he wouldn't want to have added, but because obviously people wanted it, the majority wanted it, they're added. So it's quite interesting, different ways of controlling a language.
I should just mention at this point, actually, we are in deep negotiations with Taylor Otwell about him coming on this show. So...
By deep, you mean a tweet? But that to me is a deep negotiation.
He's asked us to send us some information on what we want to podcast on. So actually, if anyone's got any ideas for what Taylor could come on and talk about, let us know, because he wants to know. And depending on what we go back to him with, he will, he'll cast a decision upon. So it'll be really good to get him on. And I've also been speaking to a manager at Skype about coming on as well.
That would be cool.
And he's trying to get him to come on and talk about test-driven development. So, and Agile, maybe, because being a Microsoft company, they are massively into Agile. So, watch the space on that one, I guess.
Very cool. And interesting, another thing on the podcast, because I do recommend the PHP Town Hall for like this, is Joe Watkins, the guy who made P-Threads.
Oh, really?
So, and he mentioned in one of the podcasts, he was like, Phil's mate said, "Oh, where are you from?" He said, "Kent." So, me being sad, I Googled him, and you never guess which university he went to?
Canterbury.
Well, Kent, yeah. University of Kent, got a PhD.
Really?
So, yeah, so he's from Kent. So I was actually interested. I'm going to see, maybe if I give him a tweet, if he'd be up for coming on the podcast. Because he's doing a lot of things, like with the extendable P-Threads. He's done a PHP debugger. Like
so he single-handedly made that library, the P-Threads library?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then helped make the debugger. I think he started off the debugger, which is going to be like an extension on Xdebug. Well, not extension, but an alternative that does it a different way. And he's
definitely get in contact with him then.
Yeah, and his GitHub profile is awesome, especially on, like, I'm looking at learning PHP extension making, so it's quite interesting to see how he makes them and stuff, because there is a lack of documentation for it.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. How about you, Lou? Any picks? Anything for this week?
The biggest one is messing around with Stripe this week, really. Which I mentioned. That's actually the first time for a little while that I've properly messed around with anything new. So
yeah, so that's a NetTalks tutorial, wasn't it?
That was where I started from. Yeah, it was Laracast actually. It was Jeffrey Way, who used to do NetTuts, but yeah, Laracast, which I pay like £10 a month for the subscription, and it's brilliant. There's so much content on there, and it's not all specific to Laravel, but even the bits that are, you can still translate it to whatever you want to use. It's just, I think I'll invest that money more in Jeffrey Way than anything else, because I think he's just a really, really good person to learn from. So
he does come across as very genuine and very sincere. Actually, he's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, Stripe itself, you know, for a first crack at like learning about making a program that uses something like that. I mean, and yeah, in a day and a half, I've pretty much made the best part of a shop, to be honest. So that's how quick and easy it's been to work with it.
How long did it take you to set up PayPal, Mickey, that time?
I think about a week.
Yeah, and how much documentation did you have to read and reread? And...
you know what? I think it was like 100-page document, and I just needed one page actually. But like knowing where to go to the first time, once you've done it once, you can do it again easy. But the first time is horrible. I think it's changed since the first time I did it. I think from what I've heard, the documentation is a lot better now. But yeah, it's truly horrible compared to Stripe, which is just a walk in the park. It really is.
Am I right in thinking the way that the only downfall of Stripe is the fact that they take a bigger cut? Because I think I mentioned
it's
that
like 2-3%, I think, which isn't that.
And what's PayPal? Bad. Do we know what PayPal is?
I don't know what PayPal.
I don't know if that was the only, because if that isn't a disadvantage, I don't know why people would even bother using it. Well, I suppose PayPal is because it's a big name, isn't it?
Well, you instantly get their reputation.
And also you get the simplicity of being able to post to their page directly without having to go through typing information at all in your site.
100%. I think that is a huge thing, to be honest with you.
You're interested, can't Stripe do that then? Isn't there an option to do that? Or
not that I'm aware of, but I don't know. I could be wrong there.
Because you've worked with a couple of game rails, haven't you? You've got PayPal, Stripe, SagePay?
I've done quite a few. SecPay, WorldPay. I think WorldPay, SecPay, PayPal, Stripe. I think they're my main four. I think.
And how many of them have you had to ring up customer service to solve a problem?
Pretty much every single one. So I don't think there really is one for PayPal. I don't think there's really many people you can speak to.
No, you just have to submit a ticket or something, don't you? And every time I've had a dispute there, I've had to raise it via the website in writing and wait for them to come back to me, which can be infuriating.
The best I've had in terms of support was SecPay. They were absolutely brilliant. Like, pick up the phone and they were really, really helpful. But yeah, it's not a fun experience, is it? Ever playing with payment gateways?
It's scary because it's money. Yeah. I had a funny thing today where I was on a website ordering some tickets, and I went onto their website, and what they did was what we were talking about, where they just go off to PayPal to post just post them out, and then you go into PayPal, log in PayPal, and purchase that way. But I was looking, and I was like, hang on a minute, this guy's in sandbox mode. And I sent him a tweet and everything, and just so he got his web dev guy on it. But yeah, it was kind of like, yeah, you're in sandbox mode. You definitely don't want to be in sandbox mode.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
The orders are rolling in, but why aren't we making any money?
Oh dear.
Yeah, we've had that before. But all that stuff, playing with IPNs and stuff, it's just
IPN. Yes, the callback thing. Oh, that's
You used to have fun though, didn't you, with that client at the place we used to work at? Do you remember?
Oh, I had, because I made the 3D secure thing or something to make it so you could do card payments. That wasn't fun.
Yeah,
that was a pain. I mean, anything that makes it easier, like Stripe, is gold. It really is.
Yeah.
How do you handle payments using Magento, Mike? Because you use that sometimes, don't you?
Can
you use whatever you want, or is there something that they build in? Or
well, I've kind of been brought in at the end of projects just to tweak little bits or hack things, basically. But
the language,
I think there's certain things like PayPal. You can literally just click on and then enter the details. And then for other payment gateways, I think you can get plugins to bring them in. But yeah, I'm not enough of a Magento expert to really comment, but. I think that side of things is fairly easy. Again, as long as you don't need to change anything that goes on. But some stuff I've had an absolute nightmare with like the Magento core code, just things like rounding VAT, that kind of stuff can be a bit tricky. But I wouldn't recommend Magento at this point, to be honest with you.
How is the core code for Magento written? Is it object oriented or is it?
Yeah, actually, I mean, this thing, I wouldn't slate it from that perspective. I think the code is actually good. I don't like it because I think you need to know a lot of the code base to understand what's going on. And there's a lot of code there.
Like WordPress.
Yeah. I'd say probably like 10 times more than WordPress, though.
Oh, God, really?
Huge amount. So I've literally just got the company to buy a book on Magento, which I'm going to read at some point. But there's a lot going on. And once you understand because it uses MVC infrastructure, so it's built on Zen framework. And once you understand it, it's not too bad. Basically, you've got like a community folder, a local folder, and a core folder. And the idea is that like anything you put in like community or local kind of overwrites the core. So that is quite nice. That then you're not overwriting the core. But I'm guessing I can hear Edman screaming out loud here about code duplication. But yeah,
no, but that is a good no. You're right though. That is not nice. I would prefer to have duplicated code over. Yeah, that kind
horrible
of
spaghetti code.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting with their Zen framework. Do you know if they've kind of broken away from the Zen framework branch, or they still work? Like, have they made their own version of Zen framework? Kind of.
I think, and there might be some Magento developers out there screaming at me, but basically, from what my experience, like you can see a very clear separation between the Zen framework and the Magento folder. So they are, kept separate.
That's cool. And
then I think it's just the Zen that's doing all the routing and all that kind of stuff.
Because it's very easy if you're bundling these things to be like, well, we can now just bundle the Zen framework with it and tweak some bits, but then you're stuck with that version and it makes it a lot harder to break away and update. Yeah,
I think, Lou, you would like it because it almost follows like a HMVC pattern. In fact, I would say it does. I'm just going to say it. I think it does because everything is like separate folder. And then within those folders, you've got the controller models in there. The views are kept separate. They're like all out on their own, but the controls and the models are in like separate like module folders.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I might have to check it out. I mean, do you use it for other CMS purposes, or is it purely shot based?
Purely shot based. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you would plug it into another site, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it easy to plug into another site? Like having that idea of like, this is the store part, and then I want the same type of thing, but with a CMS.
I've not really tried. Like I said, I've only really come at the end of projects, but I would hazard a guess and say no, it would be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah,
but
that makes a lot of sense.
You probably want to have like.
Why would you just not? Why not use WordPress for everything? It has its own e-commerce platform.
If I had my way, we would. Everyone would use WordPress.
Just WordPress.
I'm just waiting for that dream to happen.
That magical day.
Yeah.
When hell freezes over.
Anything else? Any other picks or anything from anyone?
Not from not from me.
I'm good too, actually. I've got some picks at the end, but that's to do with the web security stuff. So hold on. One thing
I was going to say, which is kind of not security related, maybe, but someone said to me today, I don't know why I've never thought of this before, but like you use like capture type things to stop spam coming through forms.
Yeah.
Well, he just like adds a hidden input field, and then if it's filled in, he rejects it because basically a human can't see it. But a bot
would. It's like I know what they call. Do they call that? They call that the honey trap thing, don't they?
Is that what it is?
I think there's a name for it. Yeah, but you're right. I've never used it, but I have the honey trap where it's like they provide like a email. Maybe they've got email, and then they've got a hidden one called address or something.
Right.
And people think, or name, and they're like, but if you input that, we know you faked it.
Yeah.
There's a clever way of doing it, actually.
But I'm guessing some bots have kind of caught onto that, and they can kind of detect what's hidden and what's not.
I suppose for high, that's true actually as well. But then I suppose I don't know.
Check the attributes.
Yeah, I mean, if that's if they bother going through loading, because normally all they do is just do a crawler and just do post requests, like just sending.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That I like that. Then honey.
I like that. I like the principle of that idea, though.
It's a lot simpler, isn't it? To be honest.
Yeah. There's got to be a myriad of simple ways of preventing it, and that being one of them.
And the capture things just look really tacky to me. I hate.
They're so over, and because
pain, aren't they?
And because people, and because like all these programs can now read them, they have to become harder and harder and harder. And now it's like they're impossible to decide for yourself. You're guessing all the time. So they've lost their purpose. I mean, there are some interesting ones. Like I remember seeing a service that did like icons. It says please and they'd give you a name like please click the apple and and you'll be able to click on these icons. And obviously, it'd be harder for a computer to be able to work out what they, and they were a little bit, blurred or made. So, kind of, but again, it adds more complexity and makes it harder for the user. So, something like a honeypot thing, if that works in practice as well, it's quite cool.
Yeah, quite interesting. Okay, well, I guess if everyone has finished talking about their picks and stuff, we're quite a long way into the podcast. So I guess we should probably move on to our main content, which is a continuation of your guys' topic from last week, which is web security. So
absolutely.
I guess, shall I hand over to you at this point to lead us, I guess?
Me? Did you listen to our podcast yet? I'm going to put you in the bad. Yeah. This is bad.
You know what? I've listened to like the first 20 minutes of both your guys' solo podcasts, and I'm waiting for some free time to catch up, but I will, I promise.
You said to us earlier on what a great job we did.
Yeah.
How do you know?
On the first
he obviously didn't hear what we said about him at the end, did he?
I know, exactly. I was thinking that 21 minutes we were pretty tame, and then we just went into it.
I'm not going to lie, I've been rumbled here. I really have.
It's all right, man. Don't worry. So we did the first top 5 last week, and then we're going to wrap out the next 5. So these are going to be a little bit more vague, probably a little bit less. Like we went through the injections, we went through the cross-type scripting attacks. These are those are the ones that definitely you need to hit the nail on the head with your site. The 6th one is sensitive data exposure, and it's quite a difficult attack vector because it requires a lot of knowledge of the network, so you'll be able to get onto the network and sniffing the network and stuff. But it's actually a very dangerous one because if the attacker can get onto the network and see what you're doing, especially if you're not using stuff like SSL and you're not using HTTPS and stuff, they can moderate and manipulate the data being sent across the network and cause a lot of harm. So a couple of things is like login pages.
A very almost simple question.
Go for it.
Does HTTPS completely cut out the chance of a man-in-the-middle attack?
Yes.
Beyond any shadow of a doubt.
Yes. From what I feel, yes. Because what that does is it encrypts the whole line.
Yeah.
So no one can see any plain text. No one can see any, unless people right. It does, but only if you're doing secure data, sensitive data in the URL. Then no, because people can log that.
Okay.
But the body content is secure.
And there's no way it can be. Sorry, I can see your notes now. I should have asked, but that it can't be reversed. It
can't be. No. I mean, I remember back in the day where you used to with browsers to be able to fake. So I did it with my brother. He must love me. You can fake. You can make a pretend SSL certificate on your own on things. So you do a man in the middle. And then he's thinking that he's going to Hotmail or something, but really he's going to your SSL certificate, and then you're in between it. So you could do that, but again, that the browsers you need to be able to have a signed certificate as well. So that's very hard to get. And if you self-sign, the browsers always pick it up and say, "Whoa, watch out." I think the only one I had problem with, I think IE6 was the one that you could self-sign and it wouldn't kick up a storm. But I could be wrong. Maybe they've added some patches in there. But so sniffing on unprotected networks is a very, very, very bad thing. What you need to do then, so a lot of people do this mixed mode type thing, or they think, what we're talking with you, Lou, with the payment details is, what we do is, as long as when I send the details over, like the login page, so the login script, the actual one that processes it is in HTTPS, but the login page itself is done over HTTP. So that's bad because the person could actually inject code or maybe tamper with the form on that page saying, your information should actually go to my malicious website instead. So it will never hit your HTTPS page or maybe just hit theirs, but because it's been plain text, they can see what's happened and they can manipulate it. So it's probably best practice to just HTTPS everything if you're on a site that requires that kind of security.
Wow.
Because other things like cookies and stuff, so the cookies, if they're not sent over a secure line, they'll be able to get your ID. So again, it's a lot harder attack vector. But if I was on the same network as you, Mickey, and you were going through an unsecure line, and I sniffed your cookie, I'll be able to take your session and be able to use it and pretend to be you.
Presumably, there's some sort of trade-off here, though, because otherwise sites would just be using it all the time. I guess.
So it's money and it's speed. There is a speed decrease, and also when you start getting into this load balancing thing, it's very hard because you need to have a gateway that goes in. So normally what they do on these big sites is they have the front end gateway, which is the actual, they hit that first, so and then they route off all the requests, but they normally strip out the security then. So in the actual network themselves, it's unsecure, just in their own self-contained world. Then when it comes back out, they package it back up to go out.
Okay.
Because so the cost of it, and also I found it can be quite confusing to set up SSL certificates.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've not had any fun experience with trying to do it. It can be, especially in the we're using stuff like cPanel, can be a bit of a pain.
Yeah, I was going to say my experience was cPanel, and it wasn't too bad actually. But yeah, it is a little bit confusing at first, I think.
And another thing, with the mix mode thing, is mixing HTTP and HTTPS content. So we'll load up, say in our website, say we've got a HTTPS website, and it's our login form, but we actually include a JavaScript file that's from an external server, such as Google. Now, if we say it only goes over to HTTP, we actually define HTTP instead of leaving that blank and letting the browser decide based on if it's what mode it's in. You're now using an unsecured file, which again, the person can manipulate, change, and especially if they've got JavaScript, they can edit the DOM, they can add listeners in saying if they type in, So really, the best thing to do is to do the little trick that I learned in HTML5 boilerplate, which is don't include the HTTPS or the HTTP : actual protocol. Just do a // and what it will do is it will say, whatever the actual current protocol is, I'll be using that. Which is great because it means then if you're using a HTTPS connection, it will try and connect through HTTPS. If you're using HTTP, it will just do HTTP.
Right.
And there's Dennis.
I was going to say, can you guys hear that? I've got the door shut, but...
That's all right. And the other thing is bad cryptography and password protection. So one-way hashing algorithms that are meant for password, one-way hashing algorithms that are specifically designed, for password protection is a definite. Stuff like symmetric encryption is bad in the sense that if you don't need two-way encryption, if you don't need to know what's come out of it, then you don't have to worry. But so I've kind of lost my track there. What was this Stripe thing is over? There you go, boom. Yeah, so it's over. So the Stripe protocol is over. Yeah.
I just thought I'd have a little look in the code that I use to use Stripe. So yeah, it does. It's fine.
That's cool. Yeah. So and then what you would want to do there, obviously, is then that page that you then get all that information on. You want to make sure that's HTTPS as well, just so no one then can. And all of the links and resources, such as your CSS and all your jQuery stuff, all they go over HTTPS as well, just to make sure that anything on that page is secure. So the symmetric encryption is the way to be able to reverse. So you encrypt the password, and then you're also then able to decrypt the password. That's great for certain things, such as like cookie encryption. But for stuff like passwords, you shouldn't have to worry, and you don't want to be able to unencrypt the password. You just want to make sure that what they typed in is the same as what the computed hash that came out when you actually stored it. So it's kind of working out where you want to use that encryption, one way instead of two way. And also another thing is poor choice of keys. So in frameworks like CodeIgniter and Laravel, you have the ability to add you have like a key, a seed key. And, making that as random as possible, not using dictionary words, because people could then brute force this and work out what your encryption, your decryption key is.
Sure, yeah.
And so the defenses for that is also minimize what you store. If you don't need to store it, don't store it. If you don't want to know the gender of the person, you don't want to know the name of the person, don't store it. Yeah. Or only retain it. So the retention window, only retain it for the window of time that you need that information. Do you need to store the person's, maybe their address, a year after the sale went? Or do you need to store, the user's credit card, last 4 digits or something a year after? You're better off not having it than having the ability for someone to actually come along and break in and steal it.
That's another good thing with Stripe. All that stuff is stored on their server,
so they deal with it. Because I know that if you do store isn't it like the thing to store like credit card information? You have to have 2 secure servers in different locations. One stores the first half of the thing, and the other stores the second half. Or there's some standards that need to go through. So you're better off letting them handle that. And absolutely.
Definitely.
So that's the 6th one. So that is a very good one to keep in mind of, that. And I mean, the trouble is that a lot of the sites I make aren't money based. So HTTP, probably me saying HTTPS everywhere. I don't know. Do a lot of your sites use HTTPS, or do you still use HTTP?
Anything for payment, yeah, definitely. And we've got a few sites that are just admin systems, really. But those are definitely HTTPS. 100%.
So the 7th one is one that I'm sure back in, well, I know I did when I was very new to this, it's called Missing Function Level Access Control. And it's a funky name. All that really means, and it's very easy to exploit, is that say you're an admin user and you make an authentic request to a website and you log in and it logs in great, and then you get redirected to maybe admin.php.
Sure.
Now, the admin.php page, though, the attacker is able to sniff that, or maybe they brute force it by using forced browsing where they just keep checking all these locations. I forgot to put in function level access control to say, are you sure? So once you've hit this page, are you sure you're also actually logged in? So the assumption there is that I already assume that because you know this location of this page, you have access to this page, which is wrong.
Right.
That's called presentational authentication protection, where you just, you don't show the links. So, your role, it doesn't show the UI. So technically it's hidden to the user. But obviously, if they are able to have some heuristics and work on it and have a little look to say, hang on a minute, this person logged in and it redirected to admin.php that time. Maybe I could just see if I can go directly to that page. And if it still works, then obviously they haven't done checks.
Yeah.
Also, another thing maybe is you've got a page admin.php and you do a flag saying auth equal true or something. So it displays certain things if they're authenticated. All these things are you think, I would never do that, but they do come up, and it's good to just keep an eye on and also test for these things. So the forced browsing thing is definitely an important one because what people do is they enumerate over resources, so they just get scripts to check. Oh, by the way, WordPress admin, check your admin areas, check your PHP my admin, just to see if these locations are open. I mean, stuff like the admin, obviously the PHP, the WordPress one, they have to have authentication for that, but things that you've only made yourself, they go through a lot of names, admin, administrator. And they'll go through these pages just to see, have you missed out any security on that page? This is definitely alleviated with frameworks and in the front controller ways, because nowadays what you do is you then filter results, routes, and say, look, all these routes that meet this criteria and have admin before it have to be filtered out. But with the days where you just had includes and stuff, it was very easy to miss a page out.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I'd like to think this is definitely one I'm not going to get caught out on, because, I know for a fact that any page in my CMS is covered because it all goes through the same start off point, to one method, and if it doesn't pass that method, then you get chucked out anyway.
I mean, that's one of the great things of these frameworks in the front controller is because of that. You have that ability and that safe knowledge that whatever gets hit is going to be whatever locate route you actually want to hit. Before that, all these things are going to happen, and all things after it is going to happen. Not in the days of just having a PHP script where every PHP had to have a certain header and footers content. So the defenses for this are what we just spoke there, the front end controller, but also stuff like define a clear authentication model. Use user roles, define them centrally and consistent. So that, again, now because you've got the front end controller, you can do this consistently. But again, have one central place where these are where the roles are actually happening. Also check for forced browsing. So make sure that, you don't use the default framework, to, like a lot of it is like, so, sometimes, I'm sure you've seen in your logs, I get it quite a lot, is people just, because they assume, maybe it's a PHP website, they'll try and look for PHP My Admin or WordPress admin pages just to see they're there. It's good practice, and you can in a lot of these actually change the location of those, or also even just include like htaccess passwords on them, so just the basic authentication as well, just to add that extra security layer. Another interesting one is default logging locations. So with frameworks, maybe in your debug mode you may forget to put it in debug, or you may just have it so it logs, but you leave it in the default login location, which could be open to the public. And with login information, they can easily sniff URLs, they can check to see what's going on, and they get a lot more information that you don't want them to have, because the more information they've got, the scarier it is. One thing I have done actually, just recently, is use Selenium to replay test roles. So it's good practice, to test, if I log in as this user with this role, I shouldn't be able, these should happen, and you can actually replay these actions on all different roles and different types of people. User, just to make sure that they can't click on this thing or access this route, and that you will get chucked out and stuff. And it's good to just automate that to allow you then to be able to quickly do it, update it every time you're changing things, especially if you're updating the authentication model, just to make sure that these things are happening.
What about? Sorry, if you've already said this, and I just wasn't listening. But you were saying that people might deliberately try and target things like phpMyAdmin or admin or whatever. Could you change the port that's accessed? Just because I think actually with some of our areas, like admin areas, we've got you have to supply a different port number on the end.
That's interesting, actually. No, I'm sure you could, actually. Now, I don't know whether you could do that. Well, you must be able to do that with... Yeah, because you could say... Yeah, I think you could, actually. That's quite a cool way of doing it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I like that. So, yeah, another thing, actually, is because the defences on it is... Another thing you've got to be careful of is like APIs. Yeah. So maybe, your facade of the application will only show that user's information, but the API is actually giving the client all the information. Chucking out all the people and only displaying the one that is relevant to them. Now, the person could just access the API directly and get the information. So it's making sure that, both areas are secure and that, you're only giving the user what you really want them to have.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, and then the 8th is cross-site request forgery. Now, does anyone else want to chime in on that fun one? I'm sure we've all had a lot of experience with it.
It's basically adding tokens to your forms, isn't it? Session tokens. So people can't submit your forms from an external source.
That's it. It's stop attackers. Attackers forging requests. Pretending to be you in the browser. Saying So the idea is, say you've got a user, and the user then wants to. You've got an attacker, and the attacker gives a user a malicious link. And what that malicious link actually has in it maybe is there's an example, say like maybe. What you can do with your Twitter account is if you're authenticated and logged in, you can do a GET request, and you can just do a GET, and then you can actually send an an actual tweet out or something like that. So this malicious link has maybe an image source URL, or maybe it is posted and you do some JavaScript, and once the user gets that page back and actually calls it, they'll find out, their current browser session, they are authenticated into Twitter. So then and it will send that request and actually do what that attacker wanted to do. Because what all the Twitter thing needs is the request that the attacker is pretty much duplicated and mimics and forged, and also that authentication cookie that the user had.
So to say at this point, I love the picture of the attacker that you've got in the show notes. It's like he's wearing a hat, so he's automatically evil.
And an overcoat with the collars up.
Definitely looks mysterious, He looks like he's up to no good. You want to make sure that. Yeah, so the attacker wants you to go visit, crafts a page, either maybe for cross-site scripting, which is another thing, add at least levels on, to try and make it so you make a request to a site with their forged, request body that they wanted, to the target website. Defenses was, as Lewis was saying, was anti-forgery tokens.
Yeah.
The reason why it's so common is because it's for predicted patterns, The idea is you want to add a token which adds randomness to each of the requests. And that can be done via, maybe when you load up the page form, there's a hidden input that the attacker does not know, and it's a unique session cookie pair, saying that this person has this, this session and it needs that code for this one request. That then allows you so the attacker then needs to know this beforehand, and of course they can't know this, so it's only when a user actually goes to this page and actually generates it can it actually work. That's a nice easy way of doing it, and it's actually a very good way of doing it. It works really well, and it does nullify it and stop it from happening.
I'm right in thinking that you don't need to refresh that session token every single time you visit a different page, do you? It's just for when you're on the site, a session token will be generated.
So I normally what I do is on each request, say like I'm on that page, I just generate a new ID. For that request for that person, only on that page, just for security. But you could have it so maybe when they log in, they say for this login session you have this ID. This is your random ID for each form that you do.
Yeah.
I suppose the only trouble with there is if it was just bog standard HTTP, someone could be able to sniff out your cookie and work out and maybe do something, but then actually maybe they wouldn't be able to. No, I think, you could do it that way as well. It all depends on how much more processing you really want to do and how much harder you want to make it. Another thing to do actually is validate the referrer, which is can be hit or miss because people can change it, but you can check to make sure that the attackers, obviously, if you're posting it on your page, the referrer will be the page that you're currently on in your domain. But if the attacker's trying to go on some funky website, just adding you in as an image source or just, using a bit of JavaScript, it's going to become from a different, unknown external location. So it's good maybe just to check that to make sure it's coming from yourself, your own one.
I was going to say, there's no way they could manipulate that, is there?
I think you can, in the browser, your request, you can say that
Do you think there is?
I think you can change it. You can say your referrer is different, or you don't have to include your referrer. I could be wrong. I'll have a little look and come back next week with that. But I have a feeling that you can't trust it 100%. Another thing, actually, a quite interesting one, and it's probably a bit too much, but is to say activity logging. So maybe when they load up this page, maybe their bank details, and they want to, when you load up this page, you're going to load up this image and these couple of things and stuff, and it's like, to actually be able to go through the request, you just see, hang on a minute, maybe have a time limit to say, how long ago was it where this person last requested this image or something? It's non-cached, so it will always be updated. And then only allowing it then, so you're then 100% sure that person had to visit that site and it's an authentic request from them, not the attacker, to do it.
Yep. Nice, man. That's very thorough.
Very thorough indeed, yes. The 9th one is using components with known vulnerabilities. Cough WordPress. WordPress. So yeah, or any of these frameworks. Popular software obviously is going to be found out to have bugs and stuff and be exploited. That's why the Windows world, you have all these viruses aimed at them because it's very popular. Again, these are just software like WordPress or Joomla or any other package on your actual any component that's on your actual website and your web application, and it's becoming popular now because of what we're talking about, dependency managers and all this package managers. To be able to add and use a lot of software that a lot of other people do.
Yeah.
These things will circumvent your access controls. They may do SQL injection, cross-site scripting, brute force attacks. So everything that you worry about for your program. Also, you've got to prepare that the person who's written this program that you're using, this package, has there could be a problem with theirs as well. It's everyone's human. So the defenses for this are to, and it's a really good one. This is to identify and keep track of the components and versions you are using. And don't include components you don't need. That's the one I can't have. Not including components after components and just keeping them around. They are a vulnerability. If you're not updating them, if you're not keeping them up to date, if you're not keeping track of where, what problems and stuff are happening. There's this thing called a CVE, which is the comment and vulnerability and exposures, postings that would say you need to check these for each of the individual things you're doing. Each individual packages and each individual project that you're using, just to keep an idea, and maybe I need to update now because there's been this known vulnerability. Also, to keep components updated, regularly monitor new releases. So anything from there, like with the vulnerabilities? I don't know, Mick.
I stepped away for a moment, didn't I? What are you still on CSRF or are you moved on?
We are on good old components with known vulnerabilities.
Unfortunately, I've missed what you said. Just squiz back over it, and then you can always edit it out.
Huh?
I said squiz. I don't even know what squiz means. So, go. What was it you were saying about it?
That's brilliant. Squiz.
Squiz, yeah.
Squiz, right.
I just had to nip upstairs to shoot the breeze.
Shooting the breeze. Oh, no worries, Matt. Right. Anyway, the 10th one. Yeah. And the final one is unvalidated redirects and forwards overview. And this one is quite a simple one, really. The idea is that you have a page, maybe you have an ad page that you redirect the URL, but before you want to redirect, you want to make it so that they hit your that maybe that ad came along from yours, just so you can tally up ads. You see this quite. We did this in the old company quite a bit, didn't we?
Yeah.
Like a couple of products.
And
a couple of things that were for that. Obviously, what a malicious attacker could do, he could or she could make it so they use your redirect page. They have your product, your brand, they trusted brand of you, but then they redirect to a malicious site. Maybe one that, provides stuff like, malware or spyware and stuff like that. So, it's the idea they're pretty much taking advantage of your name, saying, oh, it's fine, it's from this legit source, to then redirect to their own site. There are a couple of things you can do from this. It's not allowing full URLs to be redirected from your site. And whitelisting. Maybe you only want a certain amount of URLs or from a certain domain to be able to be redirected from your site. Use indirect references. This is quite a cool one, which goes on from what we talked about last week, which is, pass an ID to a redirect and not the full URL, which is probably a good way. If you're storing things in a database anyway, you've probably got the ID to the URL anyway. Just pass them the ID. They'll get redirected to the URL, but it will make sure it will go through your system and on the server side make that decision and not on the client side where they can manipulate it. And also another thing is to just check the referrer. Because, these person's going to... The idea, again, is that, these links that you're providing on your site, the referrer to that will be your website. If someone's going to copy and paste it, maybe you only want them, these links to be actually redirected and referred if they click on it on your site. If these get shared around, maybe, and then the attacker obviously can do some manipulation. If the referrer is different, it's outside the scope of what you want to be targeted, then only allow the redirects that you allow for your site and not for everyone else's.
Yeah.
And I think I've bored everyone to death.
Well, not at all. You did an amazing thorough job. It's one of those issues. Again, it's a bit like, when we talked about web hosting, I guess. It's like one of those issues that's... Actually, no, that's an unfair comment because it is a really interesting comment.
It's fun, I've really enjoyed it. I think, it is very interesting to see what people can do. And I mean, the last thing I'll say is I've found 2 products online that I'll post on in the show notes. And one's called WebReaver, which is a alpha product at the moment, which is just for Mac. And the other one's called OWASP's Z Attack Proxy. And these are products that you run against websites to check for problems. So I may have run and checked problems, for all three of us. Speaking today, I had a couple of header issues. I had found some issues with both yours.
Whoa, mine's flawless.
Similar
what are you talking about?
The only one problem with your both that was of a concern is the fact that you allow directories to be viewed.
Really?
Well, hang on, which one of mine did you do, Ed?
Al Kane's web developer blog.
Well, mine's a CI site. I'm pretty sure it's only assets that gets displayed, isn't it?
If you go to CSS, if you go to all of it, you can go to any links and you can view the directory structures. You just need to disable them. You can do that in htaccess in Apache.
I was going to say, if it's and most of the other stuff I've used CodeIgniter, so I know you can't do that.
Oh no!
This is Octopress, isn't it? So I didn't even think of that.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, have either of you two been hacked?
No,
not before.
Wood. Wow.
There's nothing really to hack on my blog site. I've only written one post, so fill your boots, anyone who wants to have a go.
Come, have a go if you think you're hard enough. I came back to my site one time and it was just like a, what do you call it, like a skull and crossbones.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd they do it?
I must have been, I think it was a form somehow. Maybe uploaded something, executed it. I mean, it wasn't anything serious, thankfully.
That's another thing we actually should say, because we predominantly do a lot of testing and learning new technologies. And maybe we're making a form, and we made a form on our demo site, like we've got our own workshop area or our website, and we don't really care about security because we're just showing it, just testing ourselves. Those areas are probably good to be locked down because those are ideal places where someone can come in and it's unprotected. So, yeah. Especially in the development when we're doing our own testing and stuff, our own playing around with new technologies, making sure those areas are locked down instead of being able to just open up to bad attackers.
Yeah. Can't believe he's tried to hack my site. That's
Well, I just ran it through the security thing, and it was fine other than that directory thing. And that's the only problem.
All I'm saying is that me and Lou are going to come at your site tomorrow. Fist of fury.
Flawlessly.
Mike will have run that through an HTML validator as well before you know it.
Oh, no, you don't want to do that.
You're going to find out exactly how many... Who was it you did that to again, Mike?
That guy that I follow on Twitter. Seth Ladd, I think it is, of Dart. I also think he's probably a really big fan of the show. So
he's probably a nice guy as well. You're just
probably is.
What happens. Your enemies become friends so easily. So
yeah.
Word of warning: don't get on the wrong side of our good friend here.
Another actually, because there are a couple of other projects that I haven't had the time actually to go into, so I won't actually mention them by name yet, just so recommending something that's not good. But they're similar. They've got like SQL injection attacks, and they do those type of attacks, which is quite cool. Again, it's quite cool just to run them over your site. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything, doesn't spend waste much time. You just run over it just to check to see, and it's good practice just to keep an eye on it. And I'm definitely going to, after doing these last 2 weeks of this, I'm definitely more in tune now with what to look out for.
It's been a bit of an eye opener, to be honest with you, even like this episode. But it's pretty scary. But I guess I think I did hear a little bit of your podcast where you were talking about that you didn't want people to be put off and scared.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So I saved myself there. And I guess like even today, I'm thinking if anyone's listening, probably this is enough to terrify them. But I guess a lot of this stuff, they really need to get clued up on for money transactions, anything like that, and anything where you're storing people's details, I guess.
Yeah, it's really just the more you know is good, and it's better off knowing a little bit more about this, being a bit more hesitant than being so blasé, because once it's online and anyone can access it.
Sure.
So it's an interesting topic, and especially session management, session ID. That was the one last week I was quite interested in, where regenerating sessions, because I've never done that before. And I really should have. So, definitely some interesting stuff there. And I hope I haven't bored everyone. And
not at all. Have you got a quiz? I'm just waiting for the quiz.
I have no quiz, no, because I've just been completely focused on the actual content. I know. How boring is that?
Don't know why I bother.
I'm trying to think if I can actually think of any quiz related. Well, because to be fair, though, last week, it's very hard to do a quiz with just 2 people.
Oh.
Especially if, we don't have Michael Budd listening to us.
Some people just aren't committed, are they? No, you did an amazing job. It's really interesting, man. So, I think that has taken us over the hour mark, right?
It has definitely.
So we should probably wrap it up. But you said you had a couple of picks that you wanted to bring to the end.
Well, those are the ones. So the WebReaver and the Z-Attack proxy.
Okay.
I expect my site to be hit a lot the next couple of days.
Have you got just 10 more minutes?
Yeah.
Because what if I told you I've just found a web application security quiz?
Oh, go for it!
And we'll all do it together.
Yeah. Anyone that wants to stop, this is just a note now. The next 10 minutes will be wasted podcast material.
Ed, can you keep score?
I can, yeah.
I'll read the questions out, and then I'll play genuinely. I've got it in front of me here, and we'll see how we go. Are you ready?
Right. Okay.
Question 1. Input validation should be based on A, whitelisting, B, blacklisting.
Whitelisting.
Mike?
He was very confident, so I'm going to go whitelisting.
I'm going to say whitelisting as well. So we'll go with that. Submit. Oh, it tells us at the end. So, Ed, write down what we all... Oh, it would help if we really knew what it was at the time, wouldn't it? But never mind. Anyway, your application sets a cookie with a secure attribute. What does this mean? A, the cookie cannot be accessed by JavaScript. B, the cookie will not be sent cross-domain. Or C, client will send the cookie only over an HTTPS connection.
Only over a HTTPS connection.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's me too. That's got to be pretty straightforward, isn't it? Hopefully.
Yeah.
Which of the following is used to prevent clickjacking? HTTPS connection, X-frame options, HTTP header, or content security policy HTTP header?
I'll go for the second one.
Yeah, I'm going second one as well.
Well, so am I,
because I set that on my Nginx setup today because it was complaining about it.
The frame one.
Yeah.
Cool. Question 4. Your web page includes advertising JavaScript from a third-party service. Is it safe to assume that problems like XSS caused by this third-party JavaScript is not technically possible on your web page?
No, it's not safe to assume.
Answer yes if you validate the JavaScript before you deploy it on your page, or no.
No, just no. Never trust it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ed.
All right, I'm gonna say yes to be controversial, but I think it's no.
Okay.
So, okay. All SQL queries can be made safe using prepared statements. So we talked about this last time, didn't we? Yes if both the server and client support prepared statements, or no, dynamically created specifiers like limit, etc. need separate validation.
See, I was going to ask this question today, so I'm glad you've asked this question, but I'm going to go with I'm going to say, yeah, they're always safe.
I think they're always safe, yeah. Yeah, it was either yes, the first one, or the second one was yes if both the server and the client support prepared statements.
It's interesting, though, because I know that limit, in MySQL PDO, the limit has a problem. So that's interesting. It always... But yeah, I'll go with the first one as well.
Okay, so we're all going yes for that. The session ID must be renewed after A, a client logs in, B, a short idle period, i.e. 30 seconds, or C, any privilege level change.
Oh, is there multiple clicks on this?
No, it's all radio buttons.
I think it should be the third then, out of all those, that's the most important. But really, I would do it after login as well, just to make sure.
Well, I'm going to say login for that.
I want the last one.
Yeah, the privilege, yeah.
Yeah, I should have. Could you just remind us what the last one was, please, Mike?
Option C.
Okay, I'll skip that one. That one's boring. Hold on.
Do we all get a point for that one?
This is great podcast material.
Yeah, shall I just skip to the end and see how we did on the?
No, is there any other good ones?
Okay, your web server supports secure HTTPS connections. By design, which of the following is the best way to make sure a client will not accidentally request a page over non-secure HTTP connection?
Okay.
A, redirect all requests for port 80 to port 443. B, completely close port 80. Or C, use HTTP strict transport security.
First one, 8443.
I
think the first one as well.
I genuinely don't know that one, so I'm going to go with the majority. Skip that one. You might have to edit the gaps while I'm trying to find the decent questions.
You know I won't, but yeah, we'll pretend like I'm gonna.
Just listen to me go. You concatenate and hash two inputs, input 1 and input 2, with SHA-256 algorithm. Is it possible that the order of the inputs fed to the SHA-256 function may have a direct effect regarding security of the hashing?
Yes.
Yes or no? Or, well, yes, yes, or no, security-wise, it does not make a difference with SHA-256.
I'm confused. So what does it mean? So you're passing in two values concatenated together?
Yeah, so basically it's SHA-56 with passing in input 1, then input 2, versus SHA-256 passing in input 2 and then input 1.
Oh, yeah. There would be a massive difference.
Yes. I did say yes to start off with, to be fair. I wasn't
saying yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, I was thinking it must have, mustn't it? Okay. That's a bit boring. You don't need to know that one. That's not relevant, really. It says me. Okay. You are running Apache and PHP server. PHP runs as an Apache module.
Yeah.
That question's not written in English. Sorry. Okay, we'll go to the next one.
We can talk about that actually, because the module. So doing the module is kind of scary a bit because you're literally you're on top of the Apache threads, so you're using their threading. I mean, it is secure still, but it is not as good practice as using its own like PHP FPM, fast process management. Hello.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go back and read that question over then?
That's right.
If I can
find... yeah, for me, it would be good.
You're running Apache and PHP server. PHP runs as an Apache module, which is add handler php5 script.php. You allow certain users to upload avatar images in PNG format. Avatar file name is allowed to contain characters A to Z or 0 to 9. Is it safe to assume that you are secure against PHP code execution launched via uploaded files?
So you're whitelisting saying they're only allowed to have
A to Z or 0 to 9.
Yeah, I think you'll be alright then.
The options are yes if I make sure the file name ends in PNG, yes if I reject files that do not pass get image size, or no further further configuration is needed on the server side.
So, I think the third one then, out of those options. I think you'd need more.
You know what? I have no idea. So the no server configuration is required.
Yeah, I'll go with that as well. Okay. And that's pretty much it. So should we go to the...
Go for it. How bad are we at web security?
Hold fire and I will tell you.
This is when the page crashes out and the session's been timed out because we've been on this page too long.
I'll just skip that. Quick view answers. So what did we do? So we did question 1. So input validation should be based on, and the answer was whitelisting, which I think we all went for. Your application sets a cookie with secure attribute. What does this mean? Our answer was client will send the cookie only over an HTTPS connection. So that was correct. Which of the following is used to prevent clickjacking? That was X-Frame Options HTTP header, which we got.
Yeah.
Question 4, it just tells me that we got it wrong, but it doesn't tell us what the right answer was.
What was the question again?
Your web page includes advertising JavaScript from a third-party service. Is it safe to assume that problems like XSS caused by this third-party JavaScript is not technically possible on your page?
Oh yeah, because I remember they were saying that if we validate it, so yeah, I suppose if you validate it then, but I thought never trust it, but anyway.
Oh, hold fire. Maybe I can get it on this page here.
Tell you what, this just shows you how good my quiz was, right?
Well, what is that noise?
The answer is no.
Yeah, we said no.
No, we said yes to that.
Oh, Ed.
Or did I? Oh, no, that's where I was being controversial, wasn't it? Yeah, the client will execute the JavaScript if it is told to receive the requested page, and there is no technical proof that the JavaScript is not malicious. Yeah. Naturally, it's not feasible to check the JavaScript before every request the client makes.
Yeah, just never trust him.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we should stop there. We just get an idea. There was a few funny questions in there. It was a bit of fun. Probably cool. Just chop that bit out if you like, Ed.
No way, I'm keeping it in. It's all going in.
It was an off the cuff quiz that I found that maybe needed a bit.
Oh, good material.
We needed to prepare a bit more.
Awesome.
All right, guys. I think we should probably wrap it up then.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Yeah, is there anything that we need to add before?
Well, I suppose we've actually got a bit of a plan for the next couple of weeks. Fraser should be back next week. We may be missing a Lewis.
Yeah, possibly.
Lewis possibly missing, but we will be hopefully doing web frameworks. Introduction to web frameworks should be quite interesting, especially when we talk about it a lot, but we don't seem to actually bring up the topic itself. So
absolutely, yeah. All right, yeah. Like I say, we should have Mr. Hart back next week, so it'll spice things up a little bit. And we're talking about frameworks if all stays the same.
Yep.
And so thanks for listening, guys, and we'll be back next week.
All right, bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to 3 Devs and a Maybe. You can contact us at contact@3devsandamaybe.com or follow us on Twitter at 3 Devs and a Maybe.